In this video, I'm going to go over the orders page. It's the top left menu in the or menu item in the menu. I'm going to go over what these lines on the chart mean so that everyone understands. I'm also going to go through each one of these tabs, open, closed, and logs, and show you how to use each of them. Let's start at the chart though, and I'm going to pick one that we actually have currently open. So on the chart, in this case, we actually have more than this. We have a couple down further, which I can only see by adjusting this chart because it's so far down. We'll get to him in a minute. So you can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines on the chart. I'll start from this top and then move my way down and explain each of them. The trigger recalc line is a line that moves the sell line if the price surges. So a good example is if these 3 lines were down here and the price went from here and skyrocketed, it would not only pass the trigger line, but it would also pass this recalc line, at which point this sell price would immediately surge up to about 0.5% lower than the current price. It'll make more sense in a second when I explain the sell and this minimum, the sell trigger and this minimum sell, which is currently an active line as well. So the sell trigger line is the line that the current price, which you can see as right now $11.17, 18 cents, it has to pass this blue line in order to enable this sell line. So once this line moves up north and passes this sell trigger blue line, this red sell line will become active. And by active, I mean it'll show as active here, and the line will be solid instead of dotted. The blue line will disappear, and at that point, every 10 seconds, the sell line will surge up 0.5% until it lands exactly 0.5% below the current price value at the time. Again, if the price for whatever reason surges quickly past this red trigger recalc line, the sell price will immediately run up to 0.5% below the current price. This is important if a coin surges, as I give you the example down here. If the blue line was here, the red line was here, but we hadn't gotten to the blue line, and the yellow line was here, and the price surged past blue and past yellow, the sell price would have likely landed right about here. So instead of us earning 1.5%, we earn 7%. If the price continues to move up further, but it doesn't pass the newly recalculated yellow line, which would likely be around here, the price would continue to crawl up to catch it at the very top. So the sell line is marked as inactive until the price passes or hits the sell trigger blue line, in which case this will come active and the line will no longer be dotted. The blue line will disappear, and you'll only have the yellow line and the red line. If the price surges quickly past this yellow line, the new sell line, this red line, will immediately bounce up to 1/2% below the current price. This white line is the break-even line. It's recalculated every time there's a dollar cost average, which I'll go into in just a minute. Rebuy. Right now, my break-even price is $11.12. The current price is $11.15, which is why you see here sushi is in the green by only 0.27% or 4 pennies, which isn't that great. If for whatever reason the coin isn't doing well, but you're hoping for a surge, you could easily set the price to break even. You wouldn't earn a profit with fees involved, but at least you would be out of a potentially risky buy. The purple line that's active is a DCA4 line. If the price falls towards this DCA4 line, the bot will immediately activate a trailing buy to buy additional of that coin. The bot will do this 3 times. It'll have the initial buy purchase, and then 3 additional purchases, a DCA4 at 4% below, plus whatever the trailing buy is, which I'll explain in a minute, an 8 and a 12. So a total of 4 purchases on one coin. And the reason it does that is because at every lower price you purchase, that dollar cost average or that break-even price is now lower. So this break-even price will move as new DCAs are purchased for a coin. It will move down considerably. Whenever there is a DCA line pass, a buy trigger and a buy trigger recalculation box or lines will appear. They look just like this yellow and this blue, but they'll be on the opposite side. A blue line will be here, a yellow line will be here, and then the buy line will be green somewhere around the DCA4 unless it's crawling down because it passed the blue one. So the same way the sell works, the buy works the same way. This DCA4 is not a line in the sand. If it passes it, like I said, a buy trigger for trailing will begin. The green and the blue line will be generated below it, and if the price drops below the blue buy ring, the buy price, which would initially start at the DCA4 price, would crawl down until it reached the current price. If for whatever reason the price surged south further and it passes the yellow line on the buy, it would do the same thing. The price would immediately surge down. The buy price would surge down to 0.5% above the current buying price, or the current price on the market, and wait for the coin to move up and pass the buy price before it actually buys. The stop loss line down here that's displayed as orange, which is also, each of these are signified below the chart and what their real name means instead of their abbreviation. You can see it's marked as inactive. A stop loss will only be active if we've gone through all of our DCAs. So for example, LCX right now has already been DCA 12'd. You can see it's 3 purchases if I zoom this graph out. We have an initial buy, we had a DCA 4, we have a DCA 8, and then way down here, after crawling even further, we had a DCA 12. You also notice that this stop loss line is now marked as active and it's solid. If the price falls to or below this break-even price, or excuse me, this stop loss price, the bot will sell for the current price on the market immediately. If the price is lower than the stop loss price, it will sell it at stop loss price. If the price is above because it surged briefly after touching stop loss, it will sell at the highest price possible in hopes that maybe it will get additional funds. You can actually see here, I just noticed that the buy triggers started on this new coin, CTSI, that the bot's attempting to purchase. You can see it passed the blue line for purchase, and now this buy line is now active. And if you watch closely, every few seconds you'll see it move lower and lower. If this red candle passes this yellow line, you'll immediately see the buy line surge quickly down to just below the current price. This is to ensure that we can get the bottom of that candle before the coin moves up and down. Every coin moves up and every coin moves down, and it does it kind of in an order before it has a downward progression. So the hope is that on this downward, just as we see here, the bot would have purchased here. If we had signaled that there was a fall here, the bot would have purchased here, and then we would have raised. We wouldn't have been able to sell though, unfortunately. We'd have likely DCA forward, and we probably still wouldn't have sold, and we would still be trailing. So since this is a new order, you'll notice there is no sell line, there's no stop loss. It's a brand new order. So the only ones we saw on the chart were a buy trigger line, which is now gone because the price passed it. So now all we have left is a buy active that's now crawling south, and we have a recalculation line. You can see as the price for buy crawls south, oh, it just passed above it. So now we've traded it. We've actually entered a buy order. We actually got the price in at 1.43 because the price surged above the buy price as it was crawling down. So now the chart's updated and we have the sell trigger, the sell line, and the trigger recalc line. We also have a DCA 4 line right here, and as soon as it passes it, if it passes it before surging up to sell, it will generate the same blue and green lines below for buy. The stop loss line isn't inactive because we haven't even hit a DCA 4 yet. It won't be active until we've hit DCA 12, as I mentioned here. Going back to stop loss, as I mentioned, if it passes or equals the stop loss price will be entered. If between the time of it passing the line and right now, when the bot actually sees it, the price has risen above the stop loss price, the price will sell at the highest value, ensuring that we at least make some profit. Well, it's not going to be profit, but at least we make something off the deal more than the stop loss price. The open order menu on the page shows you everything that's currently open. As I mentioned before, it shows you the profit loss in both percent and whatever asset. In this case, it's listed as the dollar symbol, but if this was CTSI BTC, this would be a larger decimal, obviously, and this would be represented in Bitcoin value. You can see CTSI looks like it's probably going to pass the DCA4 line. If it does, watch what it does. It should immediately generate a blue and a yellow line that I mentioned to you earlier. The DCI column shows you what the coin currently is in DCA. This has no DCA, neither does this one, but you can see bond is currently at 4, DCA 4, which means it's done one additional buy beyond the original purchase. So it has 2 total purchases on the coin. LCX is DCA 12, as we used for our example, which means it has a total of 4. Initial buy, DCA 4, 8, and 12. Track 4, Rari has 8, LPT has 8 as well. The status, in this case, shows us watching. The status has several different options, which I'll show you in a later video. The type shows you whether or not it's trailing or if it's a limit order. Trailing means we're monitoring it ourselves. Limit means that the order is actually on the exchange. So if the price passes or equals the current price, it will sell immediately. It's not something that we have to enter order for. It exists on the chart itself, or excuse me, on the exchange itself. The side is whether or not it's a buy or a sell. The fill shows you how many of our total that we own have we sold. The delta is the difference between our sell price and the current price. So in this case, LPT is approximately $13 difference from where we want to sell it to where it is currently, or 83% difference. This can be in the negative once we're crawling, right? So this can be, it could actually be over 100% if we are crawling and the price is above our sell value. The current is the current price of the coin. You can see CTSI is 1.141, and you can see here the price bouncing back and forth on green 140. The target is our sell price, 15631, but again, it's not active, and this is the minimum sell price that we want. If it passes the blue line and the red line starts moving up gradually, this number will obviously change as it crawls north. The symbol is the symbol that we have purchased, and then to the far left is the icon for said coin. Each of these fields is sortable, the default being last updated. We have an edit button on the right hand side that allows you to change the orders. There are 3 buttons associated with it. Submit obviously being we submit it back to the server to make the changes. We have a break even button and a sell price button. And in the case of sushi, the sell price is at $12. So when I hit sell price, it changed this box to immediately be the sell price. The break even is $11.12. So if I hit break even, it sets it to that. If I hit submit now, it would change the order to sell, but this red sell line would just move down here, and we'd still have a trigger recalculation button. To switch it so that the order is actually on the exchange immediately, we hit that, switch this order to a limit. So if I set this to sell value and I said switch this to a limit and hit submit, this blue recalculate or this blue trigger line and this trigger recalc line would disappear. This red line would become solid, and the order would be on the exchange. So as soon as the price passed it, it would immediately sell. It's important to note, if for whatever reason your order isn't selling, once you've changed these, because you've actually changed the sell price, either break even, sell, or whatever you wanted to custom, because you can do that as well. If it doesn't make a change, ensure that you did hit the limit switch. You can tell that you have if you don't have a blue and a yellow line. The next tab is the close tab. This shows you all of your previous orders that have been bought or sold. It shows you all of the DCA rebuys, as you can see here. Take profit shows that you've actually earned money. The sell occurred. CTSI is a buy. You can see this was an initial buy because there's no DCA value, and then obviously the date, coin, everything else is the same. You can see for this sell limit that took profit at 6.5%, the sell price was at 0.5. As soon as you click the order, you can see on the graph exactly where it was sold and all of your previous buys. This was a DCA 4, so it should have had 2 purchases. You can see the price dropped, it purchased as low as it could, the price rose, it dropped further, so it DCA 4'd, the price rose again, it hit the trigger line, and it eventually crawled and sold at 0.5054, which is shown here and also on the chart. All of these fields can be sorted just like the rest of them. You can see all profit loss, both positive and negative, that you've earned on your account. The default being last update. You can also search for a specific transaction, in this case a coin, or any of the words that exist within here. I can do a search for the dollar price if I want to. To clear that search, just hit the X. The Logs tab shows you everything that the bot is doing for you. So, an overarching view of the end result of the bot is the Close tab and the Open tab. The log itself shows you exactly what it's doing in the background. You can see this trailing cell was entered for CTSI when we just watched CTSI purchase. You can see the price that it was purchased for and how much. You can see that it was added to our database successfully. And you can see that it was crawling, but the price rose above the current buy price, so it immediately entered a buy order. You can also search on this page for any of the coins or any of the wording that you want to see. It is sortable just like the other pages or other tabs, default being date descending. To clear its search, same thing. At the top of the page, if you're on the orders page, we have a few coins for quick references. They're quick references because, and they will be as new ones are added or removed, because they're important in the crypto market currently. This is SHIB. It's a newer coin that has a lot of talk going on currently. It surged from 0.000005 to only 4 decimal places. It's up about 500%, so it made its place at the top of the wall. Clicking the order immediately switches the chart to that coin, the next one being ETH. If we click on Ethereum, it'll change the chart to be the Ethereum chart. The same for the next one, which is the Bitcoin chart. It's important to see these numbers because you can tell if a price dumps for Bitcoin and ETH, it's going to affect every other coin. If we select through some of these coins, you can see some of them run opposite of the rest of the coins, whereas others run pretty close. You can see ETH and Bitcoin run very similarly. Same thing for Bond and Bitcoin. They kind of look a lot alike. So again, the top buttons can be changed or quick references for coins that are important to the market currently. Bitcoin will always be there. Ethereum will likely always be there. Next to that is your username as you're logged in as. We have a donate button. If for whatever reason you don't have fees for the month and you still want to contribute to the project, you're more than welcome to donate. And we also have a log out button on the page. On the right hand side, we have a bug or suggestion box that goes to a box for us to view and research if you've had an issue or if you have a suggestion. Type your comment in and select submit, and it will be sent to us. We'll reach back out to you with more questions if we have any.